After news broke of Marcus's impending marriage, his childhood friend kissed him in the dim private room. Though smiling, the girl had tears in her eyes. "This year," she said, "I finally don't have to be in love with you anymore." Everyone was stunned, marveling at how deeply Chloe had hidden her feelings. The cigarette in Marcus's hand, still smoldering, trembled slightly. He pressed, "When did it start?" She replied, "When I was 15. The next day, news of Marcus calling off the wedding spread throughout Bayport. My adoptive parents scolded me, disappointed they couldn't make me into something more. It was the final step. 5 years with him, and you couldn't beat a single sentence from that girl? Marcus just told me to wait a little longer. But I had already waited 5 years, this time, I didn't want to wait anymore." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you are listening from. I returned to the private room from the restroom. Just as I was about to push open the apartment door, I heard Chloe singing. A song called Lonely had just ended. She smiled, then tearfully kissed Marcus, who was standing beside her. "This year, I finally don't have to be in love with you anymore." Her best friend, Sarah, was in tears. "Chloe, you've been secretly in love with Marcus for so many years, you're finally free." Someone couldn't believe their ears. "Did I hear that right? You mean Chloe, the little sister we grew up with, actually likes Marcus? Chloe, why didn't you say anything? With all of us friends to help you, Marcus wouldn't dare mistreat you. What's the point of saying all this now? Marcus is about to get married." "You mean that adopted daughter from Arthur and Eleanor's residence? Chloe has always been strong and kind, how could she possibly compare to Chloe?" Chloe's sparkling eyes looked at Marcus. "Marcus, happy wedding." The cigarette in Marcus's hand, still smoldering, trembled slightly. He pressed. "When did it start?" "When I was 15. 15 was the year she and Marcus met. It was also the year Marcus fully supported her. Any school abroad she desired, Marcus could make it happen with a word. To meet someone like that at such an impressionable age. To say she could forget him would seem too deliberate." Marcus said nothing as he drove me home. Cigarette after cigarette. His heart was already in turmoil. When we reached the gates of Arthur and Eleanor's residence, he looked at me and said, "Grace, the wedding is postponed." My heart seemed to stop for a moment. I asked, unwilling to accept it, because of Chloe? 5 years. I was the longest-standing girlfriend Marcus had ever had. Marcus always had women around him, but he never gave his heart. Everyone said he had the one he'd always loved that he couldn't have. No one knew who she was, except for me. Marcus replied nonchalantly, "You've waited 5 years, a little longer won't hurt." There was no emotion in his eyes. Calling off the wedding seemed as unremarkable to him as eating or sleeping. I chuckled softly. This wait, I feared, would be endless. When choosing a strategic marriage partner, Marcus chose me. The reason was simple, I really liked the blue dress you wore the day we met. But he wasn't in a hurry to get married. He said, "This time, I want to try seriously. How about we start by just dating?" From then on, Marcus, the playboy, turned over a new leaf and had no further dealings with his wild past. He knew how to act, and his tenderness was almost unbelievable. The first time we kissed, he pinned me against the car door and softly asked, "It's been 3 months. When are you going to kiss me?" Marcus had never dated a girlfriend for more than 3 months. His friends teased him about becoming a monk, but he only frowned and defended me. "Grace is different from them. Let's not bring up the past." While playing Truth or Dare, Chloe lost. Everyone egged her on, asking if she liked any one. Blushing, she reluctantly revealed the answer, "Yes, they're right here." Marcus's dark pupils contracted slightly. He swallowed a gulp of strong drink and said nothing. Chloe's best friend, Sarah, nudged Marcus. "Marcus, what about you? Do you have someone you like?" They smiled mischievously, as if they'd forgotten I was still sitting there. Marcus raised his arm and pulled me into a hug. "Isn't it obvious?" Sarah was about to say something, but Chloe quietly pulled her back. When the dinner party ended, Sarah stopped us. "Marcus, why don't you take Chloe home tonight, just like old times?" Chloe shook her head. "Sarah, Marcus already has a girlfriend. Don't make things difficult for him." Marcus's hand, toying with his lighter, paused. He smiled and said, "Chloe probably doesn't want me to take her home, especially since she has someone she likes now." Everyone thought he was joking. Only I knew he was sulking. Sitting in the passenger seat, I gripped the seatbelt tightly and asked him, "You're in love with Chloe, aren't you?" He slammed on the brakes, and my heart nearly leaped out of my chest. At the intersection, he had almost run a red light. Marcus was very straightforward. "I've been in love with her for 8 years. You're the first one to notice. But you also heard, her heart belongs to someone else, not me." I pretended to admire the scenery, secretly wiping away my tears. Marcus cupped my chin, turning my face towards him. Don't cry, Grace. I still have something to say. Starting this year, my heart belongs entirely to you. His vows felt like they were spoken just yesterday. His heart might never have belonged entirely to me, but it had certainly belonged to Chloe. Second year of our relationship. On's birthday. Marcus didn't go, only sending his assistant to deliver the gift. Chloe posted the gift on social media. It was a ring carved from bone. I held my phone, unsure whether to be angry or disappointed. More than anything, I was scared. That I couldn't break into Marcus's heart. Marcus held me, comforting me. That gift was prepared before we were together. It was my last promise to her. From now on, I will never celebrate her birthday again. His words sounded so much like he was trying to convince himself. I suggested breaking up for the first time. Due to my nature since childhood, if something was destined to be unattainable, I wouldn't want it. I wanted to cut my losses while I wasn't too deeply involved. Marcus showed his full sincerity. It was a stock transfer agreement. He gave me half of Marcus's family estate's shares under his name. Marcus said, I know sweet words don't work on you. A ring carved from bone can't compare to us sharing both glory and hardship. Grace, we are going to be a family. My principles were broken. Love, right? What love doesn't involve suffering? What love doesn't involve suspicion or arguments? What man doesn't have a past? I naively convinced myself. News of Marcus calling off the wedding spread throughout Bayport. Mr. Arthur threw the newspaper in my face. How could you mess this up? The wedding was a done deal, and you still managed to ruin it? It was the final step. 5 years with him, and your relationship couldn't beat a single sentence from that little girl? Mrs. Eleanor, while comforting him, said to me, Grace, it wasn't easy for your parents to raise you. Such a good opportunity as marrying into Marcus's family estate, we didn't give it to your sister, we gave it to you. I always thought your sister was still young, not as sensible as you, not as smart as you. But how could you miss this opportunity and disappoint us? Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Eleanor had no children when they were young. They adopted me from the orphanage. Firstly, as a charitable act for the media, and secondly, to alleviate the loneliness of not having children. But less than a year after my adoption, Mrs. Eleanor became pregnant. From then on, I became the only outside in the family. For the sake of their reputation, they wouldn't kick me out. For years, they raised me to be a wealthy lady, hoping I could fulfill one last bit of value. Unfortunately, now all their hopes were dashed. Actions speak louder than intentions. I will repay the kindness of my upbringing, but not through a strategic marriage. I looked at them solemnly. Mr. and Mrs., I am willing to immigrate to Canada. Mrs. Eleanor was surprised. You didn't want to go to Canada when we offered to send you there, what's changed now? Back then, they gave me a choice, I either marry into a wealthy family or go to Canada. In short, they didn't want to give me a chance to compete for the family inheritance. I wasn't interested in any of that, but no one would believe me. If it hadn't been for Marcus, I would have chosen to go abroad. After all, before I met him, I had never thought about marriage. Mrs. Eleanor looked at Mr. Arthur, waiting for the head of the household to make a decision. Mr. Arthur nodded. You'll work a simple job, never having to worry about food or clothes. Once I've arranged everything there, you'll go immediately. If I went abroad, everyone would be relieved. I arrived at Marcus's apartment to pack my belongings. I had spent more time here over the years than at Arthur and Eleanor's residence. While tidying the closet, I discovered a secret compartment. Inside was a crumpled photo. There were 3 people in the photo: Sarah, Chloe, and Marcus. Chloe was looking at the camera, while Marcus was looking at her. She wore a blue dress, smiling sweetly and boldly. I stared for a long time, then quietly put the photo back where I found it. Marcus pushed open the apartment door, his suit jacket draped casually over his shoulder. He carried the scent of her perfume. Marcus asked casually, Are you traveling or on a business trip? When? I'll take you to the airport. I wanted to say home, but realized no place felt like home to me. I'm not going anywhere. But I don't want to stay here. His hand, loosening his tie, paused. He tilted his head, looking at me. Are you throwing a tantrum? Call it what you want. Just because of Chloe? I put down the clothes in my hand and smiled. It's not because of Chloe. It's because you can't forget Chloe. He clenched his jaw. Chloe doesn't like me, you know that. He didn't even refute me. I gave a sarcastic chuckle. I had heard everything clearly outside the private room that day, yet still thought he could gloss over everything. As I looked at his flawless expression, I suddenly felt he had never changed. Calmly kissing me, calmly lying to me. I said calmly, Marcus, the wedding doesn't need to be postponed. Just call it off. He'd scared. Grace, I never realized before, you're so unreasonable. Someone once called me unreasonable. It was Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Eleanor. Marcus had just walked in the apartment door then, and without a word, he shielded me. Even he, who was always so polite to elders, got angry that one time. Arthur and Eleanor's residence isn't qualified to lecture my future wife, are they? What goes around truly comes around. Marcus raised his hand and pressed down on my packed suitcase. I'm asking one last time, are you going to keep throwing a tantrum? Call it what you want. He suppressed his anger. Fine. If you leave, don't come back. Plenty of women are lining up to be Mrs. Marcus, don't be ungrateful. I mimicked Chloe, saying to him, then I wish Mr. Marcus a happy wedding. I booked a hotel, planning to just make do for a while. I declined to go to my friend's birthday party, because I didn't want to run into Marcus. She called me. Grace, you're not coming to your best friend's birthday? That's really disrespectful. I smiled. I sent the gift to your place. I've been quite busy lately, so I might not have time to go. I understand. I didn't invite Marcus. I really hoped you could come to help me cut the cake. With her saying that much, old refuse. I dressed casually and left. Emily was indeed waiting for me to cut the cake. Marcus hadn't come, because sitting in the center of the private room was Chloe. Emily leaned close to my ear and explained, Marcus told me to take good care of her. I couldn't refuse. Grace, you understand, right? Everyone expected me to understand them. If I were taking a test this year, my reading comprehension scores would be through the roof. Chloe, holding a wine glass, walked toward me. I heard Ms. Grace and Marcus called off the wedding because of me. I'll drink this as a penalty. She finished the entire glass. Many people spoke up for her. Chloe, you've never wronged anyone, you don't need to apologize to anyone. If someone couldn't capture Marcus's heart, that has nothing to do with you. Someone quickly call Marcus. Chloe only listens to him. Chloe poured herself another glass of wine. But, I really do love Marcus. I have no parents, I've worked my way through school since I was little. Marcus has helped me so much. Forgive me, I can't just hand him over. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I reached out, snatched the wine glass from her hand, and smashed it in the corner, shattering it. The performance is over, Chloe. I'm not Marcus, I won't feel deeply for your tears. As I left, Emily said she felt bad about it. I said calmly, you have your difficulties, but you shouldn't have dragged me into this. In the middle of the night, my apartment door was urgently knocked upon. Through the peephole, I saw Marcus. Over a week of no contact. He had come with anger. You knew Chloe was allergic to alcohol, and you still made her drink? I suddenly understood why Chloe had played the victim. The tactic was childish and clumsy, but what did it matter? Marcus believed her implicitly. Marcus carried a chill, and I couldn't help but distance myself from him. I didn't make her drink, she drank it herself. Why are you hiding? Do you feel guilty? Everyone there's age you made her drink and then smashed the glass, causing her to cut her ankle. Grace, postponing the wedding was my decision, and calling it off was your choice. From beginning to end, it had nothing to do with Chloe. I thought you had more backbone, but you just turned around and harassed Chloe. He said it with such certainty, such anger. As if I had truly committed an unforgivable sin. Chloe was his cultivated rose, and he wouldn't let anyone touch her. Including me. I shook my head helplessly. So that's how you see me. Marcus irritably pulled out his lighter. He thought for a moment and then put it back. Grace, you waited for me for 5 years, what's a little longer? Why be jealous of Chloe? I told you, the position of Mrs. Marcus would eventually be yours. You're too impatient, you've really disappointed me. Marcus had probably forgotten. The time Marcus's family estate faced a crisis, he suggested breaking up, saying he didn't want to drag me down. I didn't agree. Instead, I told him, I don't want to be Mrs. Marcus. I can give up everything, I just want to be your wife. When I was young, I firmly believed I would never enter the grave of marriage. Like a moth to a flame, I didn't like that. I hadn't loved anyone then, so I didn't know how powerful love could be. So powerful that I was willing to give up everything to marry him. Marcus's phone rang. It was Chloe calling. Marcus, I'm so scared when you're not here. Can you come stay with me? Marcus raised his eyelids and scrutinized me. Grace, tell me, should I go or not? Whether you go or not is up to you. You're not welcome to stay here. He hung up the phone and slammed the apartment door shut as he left. Marcus was truly angry this time. He dealt a heavy blow to Arthur and Eleanor's residence. Mr. Arthur, furious and irritated, called me home. You're useless, causing more trouble than you solve. Figure out how to clean up this mess. Mrs. Eleanor started playing the good cop again. Grace, Marcus has no other demands. He just wants you to personally go to Marcus's family estate and apologize to his future wife. I was taken aback and asked, who is Mrs. Marcus? A poor girl with no background, Chloe, I think. Marcus said it himself, the entertainment reporters just haven't covered it yet. She stepped forward and squeezed my hand. Grace, your father, and I promise you, as long as you go apologize and help the family overcome this difficulty, we'll immediately send you to Canada. I knew I had to resolve this myself. If I didn't go, Marcus wouldn't let it go. Just as I expected, when I arrived at Marcus's family estate, Marcus was sitting on the sofa, with a timid Chloe beside him. I got straight to the point. Mr. Marcus, what will it take for you to spare Arthur and Eleanor's residence? Marcus said, an apology. He knew I would rather break than bend, and my pride was everything to me. All eyes were on me. Chloe gently tugged Marcus's sleeve. Forget it, Marcus, don't force her. Marcus's eyes stared deeply into mine. Grace, I told you, if you don't want to be Mrs. Marcus, plenty of others do. Now, apologize to my future wife. Marcus wouldn't stop until he had broken my spirit. I poured myself a glass of wine. I raised the glass to Marcus. I have no obligation to apologize to the other woman. Chloe's face changed, and she frantically tried to explain. I cut her off. Similarly, I have no obligation to listen to the other woman's explanations. I drained the wine glass in one gulp. The first glass, for my self-awareness, Arthur and Eleanor's residence is nothing but an ant before Marcus's family estate. I beg Mr. Marcus to show leniency. The second glass, for disrespecting Mr. Marcus by refusing to apologize to the other woman. I ask Mr. Marcus, the bigger man, to overlook my petty offense. The third glass, in hopes that once I leave this door, our personal relationship will be nullified, and from now on, we will only interact on business terms. After those 3 glasses of wine, my entire being burned with pain. Marcus's face was taut, his expression so grim he looked ready to devour me. How strange. Wasn't this exactly what he wanted? The one he'd always loved was finally in his arms, and his current partner was leaving without a fuss, willingly stepping aside. What more could he be dissatisfied with? The whiskey was too strong. That night, I had severe stomach pain and had to have my stomach pumped at the hospital. Tossing and turning in bed, I thought, if I had known, I wouldn't have drunk so much. One relationship, and I was utterly exhausted, body and soul. When I was discharged, I expected no one to pick me up, just as I had anticipated. But then Mia appeared, lounging against the apartment doorframe in a camel coat, taunting me. Haven't seen you in a few days. You look pretty rough. The parents who raised me for over 20 years didn't come. My boyfriend of 5 years didn't come. The one who came was my sister, with whom I shared no blood relation. Mia plopped down on the bed, watching me pack my things. Grace, you know I've always hated you since we were kids. Mom and Dad doted on you and spoiled you. If you wanted to go out, they'd agree without a second thought. But me? I got beaten half to death for not getting a perfect score. You were getting married, and they presented Bayport's best man for you to choose. When I dated someone, it was like I deserved to be cut into 1,000 pieces. Why does everyone like you? I'm the real daughter. After listening, I just sighed. Mia saying something like that was enough to prove how much Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Eleanor had loved her all these years. They spoiled her into being innocent, almost a little foolish. Mia, but in the end, I was just a tool for a strategic marriage, or a pawn to be cast aside abroad. Have you ever considered that all these years they weren't not doting on you, but rather meticulously cultivating you? Worrying about your future, worrying that you might make even a single wrong step. Parents who love their children plan far into the future for them. Mia's expression froze. The apartment door was knocked upon. Chloe stood at the doorway. She had grown even more elegant and wore luxury brands from head to toe. Grace, I'm here to deliver something to you. She handed me a red wedding invitation, a triumphant look on her face. Marcus said you wouldn't believe we're getting married, so he asked me to deliver the wedding invitation personally to celebrate your discharge. Mia let out a cold laugh, lit a cigarette, and waved it in front of Chloe. So you're the other woman who interfered in someone else's relationship? Grace lost to a nobody like you? Unbelievable. Chloe's face turned ashen, and she glared fiercely at Mia. The one who isn't loved is the other woman, didn't you know that? May I ask, Ms. Other, if you can snag this man today, another woman could snag him tomorrow. What will you do then? Become the next mistress? I heard Chloe went back to Marcus and cried her heart out, claiming that Mia and I ganged up on her, unfairly bullying her. How would retaliate against Arthur and Eleanor's residence this time was no longer my concern. I booked a plane ticket for the day after tomorrow, leaving first thing in the morning. Mia ostentatiously prepared a farewell dinner. My departure was a cause for celebration for her. After drinking too much juice, I went out to the restroom. Passing through the bright hallway, a familiar voice drifted over. Marcus, you know we've all been hoping you and Chloe would get together, right? It was Sarah. It looked like a group was having a dinner party. Chloe looked a bit embarrassed. Sarah, don't tease me. This is just something among friends. It hasn't been officially announced yet. Sarah smiled, looking at Marcus. Your wife's hinting at you. Aren't you going to do something? Marcus seemed distracted and didn't respond. Someone interjected, wouldn't Grace be unwilling to let go? Having dated someone like Marcus, she probably can't move on. No chance. I heard Arthur and Eleanor's residence is sending her abroad. Marcus looked up and asked, when? The person seemed a little flustered. Huh? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a tactic to provoke you? You know how women are, they always want men to coax them. But, do you really not have any feelings for her anymore? It's not that I want to meddle, but Chloe is like a little sister we've watched grow up. I don't want you to hurt her. Marcus scoffed. Why would I have feelings for her? She was the one who insisted on calling off the wedding. Am I, Marcus, supposed to beg her to stay? I quietly watched his profile. So cold, as if he had never loved me. This same person once sincerely said, Grace, we are going to be a family. Solemn vows are just words to be heard. After all, stories often begin with extreme tenderness, but their endings are frequently disappointing. Mia insisted on driving me to the airport. On the way, her fingertips tapped repeatedly on the steering wheel. Finally, she spoke, Grace, if you don't want to go to Canada, you don't have to. If and Dad won't give you the Arthur and Eleanor's residence's property, I'll share mine with you. The shock I felt was inexpressible. Mia smiled. Ever since we were little, whenever Mom and Dad hit me, you were always the first one to rush in and protect me. Do you remember when I was dating that scumbag in high school and accidentally got pregnant? Mom and Dad were too ashamed to make a fuss, but you paid some vocational high school delinquents to beat him up. How much was it? 50,000? He still thinks he crossed some bad guys, ha ha ha. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The car pulled into the parking lot. Mia said, if you want to stay, we can go home right now. I replied calmly, Mia, I'm leaving. She paused for a moment, then gave me a hug. Sister, I don't you at all. You've suffered a lot of injustice at Arthur and Eleanor's residence all these years. My eyes slowly welled up, and before the tears could fall, I quickly got out of the car and walked into the airport. As the plane reached midair, I looked down at the ground. Bayport was actually so tiny. How could it contain all those passionate loves and fierce hatreds? I touched my cheek and felt a trace of moisture. After more than 20 years, I still couldn't let go. All the memories erupted at once. Emotions surged back like a tide. With my head bowed, I cried uncontrollably. Eventually, I curled up into a ball in my seat. Mr. Arthur arranged a token position for me at a subsidiary. I was greeted by a young CEO. He shook my hand politely. Ms. Grace, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I glanced at the nameplate on the apartment door. Mr. Ethan, where is my workstation? Ethan exchanged a few pleasantries, then led me to a floor-to-ceiling window. An independent, luxurious workstation. The view outside was good, with sunlight streaming in, perfect for retirement. I stated plainly, I'm not doing this. Ethan, unflustered, asked, oh? Then what would Ms. Grace like to do? I know Mr. Arthur instructed you to give me a token position, Mr. Ethan, but I'm not going to be a figurehead. I want to be your assistant. You're the most influential person in this company. I can only learn by following you. He smiled, still formal. Ms. Grace, being an assistant means being at my beck and call 24 hours a day. Not only serving tea and pouring water, but I might even take out my bad mood on you. I also smiled. Mr. Ethan, you don't need to try and scare me. I know you have your considerations. Frankly, if I quit, Mr. Arthur would really be angry with you. Ethan looked thoughtful, then walked around me and took my employee badge from the retirement workstation. He placed it at the workstation closest to the CEO's office. Assistant, welcome aboard. I let out a breath. I'd been in Canada for less than a week when I received a long-distance phone. You've run all the way abroad, was that really necessary? It was Marcus. It was just about giving in and apologizing. The wedding is still ours. No matter how much Chloe creates a fuss, Marcus's family estate wouldn't allow me to marry her. You're smart enough to understand that. Marcus had been adored since childhood. It was as if no matter how much I acted out, as long as he bent a little, I should return to his side. Marcus, I gave in for 5 years. Not this time. He was silent for a moment, then seemed to compromise. Fine, this time I'll give in. I'll come pick you up myself. Ethan really did treat me like a common maid. Serving tea and pouring water, taking out his frustrations, he kept his word. But when meeting important clients, he would bring me along. He always offered me an escape route. If you can't stand it, go back to your token position. I shook my head. I can stand it. I won't go back. Late at night, only Ethan and I were left at the company. His rule for me was that if he wasn't off work, I wasn't allowed to be either. There was no such rule in Canada, but I could tell he was deliberately making things difficult for me. I accidentally fell asleep at my desk and was woken by a wave of warmth. Ethan's jacket was draped over me. He came out of his office and handed me the files. You'll be in charge of this project from now on. This was. Had I earned a little of his trust? I quickly nodded. You can count on me. He jingled the keys in his hand. You don't need to work overtime anymore. I'll drive you home now. At 2 in the morning, Ethan drove me back to my apartment. I dragged my tired body to my apartment door. But alarmingly, the lock had been pried open. The lights inside were all on, and Marcus was sitting prominently in the center of the living room. I didn't know if he was here to humble himself or to capture me. Marcus stubbed OU. His cigarette and asked me, displeased, who was that man just now, your new boyfriend? My boss. He stood up and walked toward me, his tall figure blocking the light. Grace, I'm taking you home. I've already immigrated. Bayport is no longer my home. He said casually, wherever I am, that's your home. What does immigration matter? When would Marcus understand that he was no longer the center of my world, and I no longer revolved around him? Seeing my silence, he continued, as long as you come back, we'll get married immediately. All the major media outlets will clamor to report it. No one will have a grander wedding than you. I lost my patience. You don't actually think I've just been joking around and throwing tantrums, but still love you deep down, do you? His expression showed a hint of bewilderment. Isn't that true? My departure, in his eyes, was even laughable. Like owning a cat, no matter how much it scratches or how wild it gets outside. The owner always believes it will eventually come home. Marcus was now like someone holding me by the scruff of my neck, asking, when will you stop playing games? I said, Marcus, I don't love you anymore. See? He looked as if he had heard the funniest joke imaginable. 5 years of feelings, and you say you don't love me anymore? Grace, you're almost 30, don't be so childish. Fine, I'll go back with you, unless you're willing to send Chloe away. Marcus's smile froze. I tilted my head slightly. See? After 5 years with me, didn't you also fall in love with someone else? Marcus wasn't in a hurry to return home. He rented the apartment next to mine. Sometimes when I went to the balcony for some fresh air, I would often see him leaning against the railing, smoking a cigarette. His gaze was fixed on the distance, as if he was deeply pondering some difficult problem. I remembered Marcus once telling me, he was rarely troubled, because he could solve most problems with money, and the only thing the had probably trapped him all these years was his unrequited love for Chloe. Not long after he arrived, I received a phone call from Chloe. She was hysterical on the other end. Grace, you're shameless. You ran off abroad, putting on an act, just to lure Marcus over, didn't you? I waited 8 years, and he finally agreed to marry me. What kind of person are you? Why would he abandon me for you? You're so cunning, I really can't compare. Chloe's voice gradually trembled, it sounded like she was crying. I turned my head to look at Marcus on the adjacent balcony. You heard all that, didn't you? I had my phone on speaker, and Chloe's voice carried quite well. He made up his mind, I will send Chloe away. From now on, she won't be allowed to set foot in Bayport. Chloe's crying on the other end ceased abruptly. I hung up the phone too. Marcus's tone was unusually urgent. Grace, I didn't fall in love with her. I can do what I promised you. Come back to me. I scoffed dismissively. Too late. I completed the project Ethan assigned me very well. He also rarely made things difficult for me anymore. I finished work early today, but I didn't want to go home. I found a nearby bar to unwind. Rock music, strong drinks, the stage, no one knew me. My mind and body relaxed in that moment. Before long, a handsome foreign man approached me to chat. He said in clumsy Chinese, do you have time tonight? I chuckled softly and said nothing. He continued, my place is nearby. Before he could finish, Ethan suddenly appeared and sent him away. His face was unusually stern. Do you have so little work to do? You'd go for a man like that? I innocently shook my head. I don't want someone like him. He's okay looking, but not as good as you. He scoffed. A little alcohol, and you're flirting with your boss. Ethan grabbed my arm, pulling me up, and paid for my drinks. Bars abroad are too chaotic, he said. Ms. Gray specifically told me I have to ensure your safety. On the way home, I received a phone call from Mia. Sis, it's my birthday next month. Come home for a visit. I stroked my phone case, hesitating. She said generously, all right, if you don't want to come, then I'll come find you. No, Ms. Mia. What I mean is, you'll have to reimburse me for the plane ticket. I'm a working professional now. She chuckled twice and readily agreed. After I hung up, Ethan suddenly spoke. I have to return to Bayport at the end of the year for a report. We can go together. Huh? We weren't that close. We'll go together. You can get the plane ticket reimbursed by finance. Ethan said this while looking straight ahead, his face betraying no emotion. The end of the year was still a long way off. Compared to Western men's directness, Chinese men are much more intriguing, saying one thing but meaning another, hiding their true feelings. I went home to pack my suitcase. This time, Marcus was polite and knocked on my apartment door. He asked me with a dark expression, you said that was your boss? Does a boss specifically drive an employee home after hours? And with that smell of smoke and alcohol, were you two out at a bar? I shrugged helplessly. Yes, that's my boyfriend. Are you satisfied now? My business is none of yours, don't meddle anymore. Marcus was shocked and incredulous, but more than that, his eyes revealed profound sadness. Perhaps only now did he truly understand that I wouldn't stay put and wait for him anymore. People really need to be careful with their words sometimes. Ethan and I, over time, truly developed feelings for each other. He took the initiative to ask me to be with him, and I agreed. Cherishing each day as it came, whether there was a future or not, I already felt it didn't matter. People change, eventually. But I couldn't lose the right to enjoy love. Mentioning, Marcus was both angry and disdainful. His looks and wealth can't compare to mine. If didn't want me, she'll eventually not want him either. But he was wrong. I was wrong too. I found the courage to aspire to marriage a second time. This time, I won the bet. Ethan once told me, Grace, you'll never truly rise above your situation with Mr. Arthur. I nodded with a smile. I had come to terms with those things. I planned to learn valuable skills and then resign and move to another company. But said, a good company contacted me, they want to poach me. My condition is simple, I'll move, but I want to secure a vice position for you. At that moment, my heart was indeed filled with mixed emotions. After all these years, he was the first person to consider my future. Or rather, I was a part of his future. I said I wasn't mature enough and might not be able to handle such an important position. Ethan said, you have me. Stand on my shoulders, however high I stand, that's how high you'll be. I sent a wedding invitation back to Arthur and Eleanor's residence. After all, Ethan's and my love began when we celebrated Mia's birthday together. Her reply surprised me for a long time, because she said, half of the family's fortune will be your dowry. I didn't know how she convinced Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Eleanor. After all, they were most sensitive about this. One night, I suddenly had an epiphany. Perhaps the person who convinced Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Eleanor wasn't her. On the wedding day, I was waiting for the makeup artist in the dressing room, but arrived instead. Standing in the opulent room, he wore a white suit, a bitter smile playing on his lips. Just a few minutes of your time, that's not too much to ask, is it? I smiled and shook my head. Marcus took a deep breath and slowly began, I heard Ethan is quite influential abroad. For a bride, the dowry is a matter of prestige, it can't be lacking. My guess was right, you convinced Mr. Arthur? It was merely an exchange of interests. The group shares I initially promised you are also counted as part of the dowry, and I'm adding another 9%. That's too valuable, I can't accept it. He looked at me gently, you can accept it, Grace. I never truly understood my feelings for Chloe. When she confessed to me, I was indeed swayed. But I thought, what difference did it make? Didn't they say love conquers all? We were so in love, I was just hesitant. You would understand me and wait patiently for me. The moment you called off the wedding, I was furious, resentful, and even felt betrayed by you, by our relationship. Isn't it laughable? I thought it was all because you weren't generous enough. I was wrong, and the price was losing you. I'm sorry, Grace. Tears glistened in Marcus's eyes. Perhaps this was the first time he had ever cried. He gave a bitter laugh and said, "Don't let me ruin your mood. I just wanted to give myself some closure. I had also let go. Marcus, we both need to move forward." He nodded, turned cleanly, waved goodbye to me, and left. As Arthur led me down the red carpet, I saw Marcus in the corner. He was already in tears. Marcus had only acted out of stubborn pride twice in his life. Once, he lost Chloe, whom he had secretly loved for years. The other time, he lost Grace, whom he loved most. He hadn't lied. During the 5 years he was with Grace, his heart and soul belonged to her. It was just that, upon a sudden confession from the person he loved in his youth, he momentarily couldn't distinguish whether it was love or an obsession. He relied on Grace's love, making her wait again and again. But one day, when he suddenly looked back, he was startled to realize that he and Grace had already drifted apart, moving in opposite directions. He bent his will again and again, seemingly offering, but actually pleading. The sad thing was that Grace could see he was acting out of stubborn pride 5 years ago, but now she took his words of anger seriously. He regretted it immensely but couldn't undo it. In the end, Grace embraced a new life, while he remained forever trapped in the past. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.